So here is the bones of, or exoskeleton perhaps, of our cottage rocket. It is two slits in the side of a barrel that we burned the paint off of, and then the side is banged in to give us a place to put our feed tube. We will build a rocket heater J-tube inside of here, and we'll build that the burn chamber out of fire brick that we sit on a couple inches of cob down there, and we have these little slits down into the bottom barrel, which is kind of a manifold that the exhaust will come out of the side of or the back of. We got this, we're going to cut a hole and put it out there. We can actually send that into a thermal mass bench, or we can just send it up the chimney if that's what works best for the situation. But the exhaust will come up a J-tube poured out of cob, and this whole thing will be just filled with cob except for the space of the J-tube, and these two slots down the side where the exhaust goes, and as the exhaust goes out, it radiates, give us some instant heat out the sides, but the cob touching the side of the barrel will actually radiate heat long after the fire has gone out.
The thermal mass?
That thermal mass, plus unlike a bench that maybe gets up to 100 and 110 degrees, this cob will hopefully get up to 600, 700, 800 degrees around our heat riser, and and that temperature, even though we have a much smaller thermal mass, that temperature, the one of these that's in my house, is got some heat left in it in the morning, which is a very nice thing to have. And ideally, having a 3 to 5 ton thermal mass to keep you warm all through the night is a great thing. But if you live in a house with a crawl space, or you live in a tiny house, you don't have the room for it, or a tree house like my daughter's where I don't want to collapse the floor with 3 to 5 tons of mass, having a smaller mass that will radiate, they'll store more heat at a higher temperature, and so it still has something left in the morning.
Perfect for smaller structures.
Perfect for smaller structures.
To radiate heat.
And other than a little bit of fire brick, so the one in my house is made out of cob, which means that every time somebody just throws a piece of wood in, it dents the cob, chips the cob off a little bit. So this one we're building with some fire brick around the burn chamber, so that it'll be more sturdy. But most of it's cob and barrel.
And the top of the barrel could get hot enough to heat or do the
top of the barrel we could use to cook, or we could like make a nice little cob sculpture there and have some more thermal mass that's nice and hot.
Radiate some more heat.
Store some more heat and radiate it.
Could be exclusively a heater, or potentially
right.
A heater stove.
This isn't. You could even like make a little spot there that you like set your coffee thing down on, and then sculpt the rest of it cob. Because the thing is, we really don't. We want some radiant heat immediately, but we want to be putting most of that heat into a battery to have come out later, because we don't want to go to sleep with it being 105 degrees in the house and wake up to being 20 degrees in the house. We want it to kind of gently even out. And the thermal mass, a big thermal mass, is the best way to do that, but not always possible.
And I suppose you could even expand upon it with the exhaust that is coming out, and that could potentially even go into a bench to be heated or something.
That's right.
Well.
In my house, the exhaust coming out goes into a like a half-ton thermal mass that was already there from the previous stove iteration.
Awesome. Thank you, Uncle Mud.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all the innovation and knowledge you've been sharing at the Workshop Jamboree.